Hi, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with Kirby Howell-Baptiste, who plays Anita Darling in Cruella. Hi.
Koku, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course, thanks for having me.
You look absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I loved your character, Anita Darling, and she's one of the few people, the few in the film that you can root for without condition, right?
Yes, she's one of the few that kind of you can feel good about rooting for her.
And what and when you think about the Baroness and the evolution of Estella, there's a lot to say about people being born bad. But Anita Darling is an immediately empathetic person, though. Why was her character so important to this story?
I think that's also, I've not been asked that question before, and I think that's really lovely and something to think about, because I've never thought about like why it's so important. But I think that when you see these two women going at each other, I think what Anita does is she kind of grounds it and makes you understand that there has to be a heart to everything. There has to be like a true reason for this ambition, because I think what we see in Cruella, we see moments of like her ambition kind of making her almost lose herself, or her trying to figure out who she is in it. And then what we see in the Baroness is sort of like rampant ambition, and what happens when you have almost no empathy, and when you kind of you have to center yourself and go for it. But I think that they're really interesting characters, because I think a lot of people can relate to that, and trying to find balance in their ambition and their work and their life and their relationships and things like that. And I think what Anita does is she falls somewhere in between, as someone who recognizes that there is always a person at the core of it. There's always like a human being that kind of has to be protected at the core of it. And you see it from right when her and Estella first meet.
That's so true. And I love what you just said, because I feel that this story, it just resonated with me. Like, this is real life. Like, I've dealt with this situation, whether with friends or coworkers. You really see these things happening. And it actually, the character, for me, it just humanized and kind of gave me a little bit more empathy in certain situations where I'm just like, okay, that person's crazy. Maybe that's like not, it may not be that black and white, right?
Oh, it's absolutely, like, that's actually really one of the interesting things about this film. And again, like you said it yourself, it's not black and white. I mean, we have a film that's like black and white, but what I think it does beautifully is play in the gray areas. And I think that I remember when I was in a drama class, they were like, one of the things I learned was a villain never sees himself as a villain, because they have their own wants, their needs, their drives, and they don't see it as necessarily, it's just sort of whatever has to be done to get to where they need to get to. And I think that's a really humanizing thing. And I think something that allows you to understand people and feel sympathetic and empathize with people, and realize that most people are just trying their best and trying to get what they think they need. But along the way, that's where you kind of get collateral damage and things like that.
True, truth. And thank you for that. And the fashion in Cruella is phenomenal. What was it like to, first of all, just get dressed to go to work, and to just see what you saw in all of those designs?
I mean, amazing. Because if you see the way I rock up to set, it's just like pajamas, essentially. So like, to know that I was going to be transformed every day was incredible. And I also think that most jobs that you do, you go to fittings, and you're trying all these different clothes, but particularly if it's not a period piece, it's a lot of things that you're familiar with. But there were labels that I were like, designers that I was unfamiliar with, that were much bigger in the 70s, because Jenny has such an eye for this stuff. And being in clothing that literally transports you to another era means that your job as an actor is so much easier.
Absolutely. Thanks again so much for speaking with me today. It's been such a pleasure. This is Kirby Howell-Baptiste, and she plays Anita Darling in Cruella, and it's a phenomenal movie. You guys are gonna have so much fun watching this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.